In this lesson, you're going to understand an easy-to-use framework to create more complex orchestrations and arrangements. The framework we're going to use is what and then how. First, we're going to answer what, then we're going to answer how. What is going to be the composition. How is going to be the arrangement or the orchestration. First, let's understand the what. So the what, first thing we need, and this is going to be for melodically driven music specifically. This is not for ambient like vibes of we're walking around and exploring this open world thing and we're just hearing wind sounds. No, this is a melody driven thematic piece of music. All right, so we have a melody. Now the melody, we're going to sketch the melody out, and we're going to sketch the melody out all the way from start to end for the entire piece. And until this melody works from the start to the end of the entire piece with no chords behind it, we are not done with melody. One of the mistakes I see people make is they'll start by just doing the melody for the A section, then they'll do the chords, then they'll start bringing in strings, then they'll bring in woodwinds, then they'll bring in brass, then they'll bring in percussion, and then there's nothing else here. And this is kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these guys, like super stoked for them, but like, all right, so they go to the gym every day, they got this big old neck, they got these giant shoulders, got these great biceps, like really impressive biceps. You know, their chest just, man, it's like chest and biceps are having a fight, and they've got this, you know, fantastic six-pack, even with all this bulky muscle up here, like, wow, look at them go. But here's the thing, they skip leg day. And so they got these itty-bitty little legs. This is what this is like, okay? Except it's this guy, except he's like turned on his side, right? We can imagine we have this, you know, big old body up here, you know, big arms, big chest. All right, here's the six-pack, and we got these teeny tiny little legs down here. All right, that's what this is like, and that's what we don't want. We don't want to skip leg day when it comes to creating music and also in exercising. Don't skip leg day, kids. What we want to do is we want to make sure we have a melody that goes the whole way through. First, think horizontal. Think left to right with the melody. Now, within the melody, there's two options you can do. You can just use a piano sound to create the melody, or if you already have an idea of the instruments you want playing the melody or instrument you want playing the melody, either way, you then write the melody with those instruments or that instrument. And there's no right answer. Now either way works. So you can either sketch it out. If you don't know what instruments you want to use right off the bat, but you have an idea for a melody, use piano. If you know what instruments you want, put those instruments in. But here's the deal. Just put them in at a very basic level. Don't go in and do all the automations and all the key switches. We just want a basic idea. And by the way, if the melody works with zero automation, zero key switches, zero like dynamic, zero, like you do nothing to it and the melody just works by itself, that's a killer melody. That's what we want. We want the melody to be so strong we need to do nothing to it, and you can listen and be like, that's a solid melody. All right, so next, what do? We're going to bring in harmony. We're going to bring in chords. Now this, I do recommend using a piano, or if you want to just use like strings, that's fine too. But for me, I prefer, at this point, piano. And piano, we're going to think vertical. So we're going to think, okay, what melody notes happening here? Or notes, right? What harmony do I want to have underneath to help tell the story of the melody? Once I go through thinking vertically about the harmony, and real talk, when I'm doing this, I'm thinking vertically and horizontally at the same time, but that might not work for you in early days. It might work for you better in early days to just think vertically first. Okay, am I a borrow chord? What key am I in? Let me get all of this together where I have chords backing up the notes. Then you might want to go through and actually think about the story that the harmony is telling. What's the story of the harmony? What's the story of the chords? That is the harmony. So now we have melody and harmony. This is what we call a sketch. This is a sketch. This is a completed sketch, and we have now completed the what. We have the melody and we have the harmony. Now, arrangement and orchestration asks, okay, but how is the melody presented and how is the harmony presented? So now we have choices. We know the harmony that we're after. So the question becomes, all right, do we want to have strings? Yes, no. If we want strings, how many strings do we want? Do we want a full string section? Do we want just a couple strings? Do we want just violins? Do we want violins and violas? Do we want just violas and cellos? Do you just want basses? You have many different combinations, permutations, and possibilities of what you have here. Let's just think about it from a string section perspective. Okay, so string section, you say, okay, how do I want to represent the harmony from left to right with this string section? Do I want it to be contrapuntal? Right? Do I want counterpoint? Do I want separate lines that are going to work together with like counter melodies? And then think about the roles too. Like, what roles do I want these strings to play? Are they playing a punctuation role? Are they playing a supportive role, a harmonic role, a melodic role? What are they doing? Right? How are they translating this harmony, bringing this harmony into real life? All right, maybe we just want, chords. Maybe we just have like triads. Maybe it's triads with inversions. But the point is, even if you're using triadic harmony, if you're using seventh chords, it doesn't matter. Sus chords, add chords, whatever. Altered chords, it doesn't matter. You can go left to right, figure out how it is you want the strings to work if you want strings. Now, let's say you want woodwinds. Now, you don't have to use woodwinds. Let's say you use woodwinds. You do the same thing. You say, okay, how am I going to represent the harmony with these woodwinds? What role are they going to play? You do it again with brass, left to right. How am I showing the harmony with the brass? What role do I want it to play? And then percussion, left to right. How do I want to enhance everything that all the other people are doing, all the other instruments are doing with this percussion? What role do I want the percussion to play? So now we've done all of this. We have a full orchestral sketch. This, by the way, is awesome. If you got to this point, like, it's sounding like something. All right, now what are we going to do? Now we're going to go back layer by layer and get more precise about what it is we want to do. So at each layer, we're going to think about articulations, we're going to think about dynamics, we're going to think about automations, and we're going to think about key switches, which can help us get those articulations. All right, so first we're going to do melody. Melody, we're going to do our ADAK, ADAC, our ADAC. So we want to ADAC our melody. We want to ADAC our strings if they're there, ADAC our woodwinds, ADAC our brass, ADAC our percussion. And at that point, you're probably in a really solid place. And then also while you go through this, you might be adjusting what each instrument is doing, how it's representing the harmony, just to balance everything out. Now, once you've done that pass, it's time to truly start thinking. And by the way, in this pass too, we're still thinking horizontally, right? And then we're also comparing vertically to everything else as we're going. But in terms of what we're doing, we're thinking horizontally. Now we're going to start thinking vertically. On our last pass here, our third level, we're going to think this is going to be the ear candy pass. Ear candy are those one-off special teeny tiny moments that just take your composition that was an 8 out of 10 and bring it to a 10 out of 10. It's those one-off things, it's those transitions, it's the little trill in the piccolos, it's the teeny tiny little things that make all the difference. That's the ear candy. In the ear candy pass, you're really going to think, all right, what's happening in this section? What's happening in this transition? What's happening in this measure? What do I want to have happen right here? And we're thinking in a true vertical sense. And at that point, you are likely about done. So this is the what and then how framework for doing more complex arrangements, which I'm going to include orchestration in more complex arrangements. This will save you so much time, so much headache, so much heartache. Use it, live long and prosper. Cool. Bye. See you in the next lesson.